So how long until you can convince parents of young children, get them off the 5-year plan people talk about? We have a child in the city, and we got 5 years to get to Clayton or Ladue or wherever, and then not to mention so many parents that that's just not even an option. How long until that is no longer part of the conversation in St. Louis?
I don't know that it has ever not been the conversation from the people I talk to on a regular basis. I think people have a lot of perceptions that I don't know that we could ever overcome. It is our responsibility to do what we did around this notion of accreditation. Give them a reason to say no. If the data says positive things, then they have to go against the data. And so I think we can't control what people think and believe in the city of St. Louis. What we can do is give them the best possible option based on what the data says. The state of Missouri said accredited school district like 509 districts in this state. While we know we have a lot of room to grow, we also know that our teachers are working extremely hard and we've met the measure that the state said we have to meet. So the perceptions, I don't know that we can do anything about it. What we can do though is put on the table a quality program for every single kid in the schools that they go to.
So what's it going to take to keep this going? If we're moving in the right direction, as the accreditation would seem to imply, what's it going to take? How much of a factor is stability, whether it be Dr. Adams or the school board?
I mean, I think that's clearly a factor. There's got to be good governance. There's got to be a great working relationship between the board and the superintendent that exists today, and we have every reason to think that it will continue.
So when can we be trusted to elect our own school board in St. Louis?
That's for somebody else to decide. The State Board of Education will make that decision, when and how transition will occur, and at some point, and I think there's an election frequently, or every 2 years, I guess, for elected board members. There's an election this April.
Right.
There are 7 people on the ballot for that election. It is important for the citizens of St. Louis to go out and learn who those 7 people are, learn who's most qualified, and make sure that they vote for the most qualified people, because sooner or later, that elected board will become the governance of St. Louis Public Schools.
Do you hear many people, Kristen, asking for the school board to be turned back over to the elected board?
I actually don't feel like I hear many of those voices. I know that when I do talk to the elected school board, in general, those members seem really eager to bring it back to local elected governance, just because on principle, they believe that's what it needs to be. That's how pretty much every other school district is run. But I'd say a lot of just education leaders and like people in the state have been they've seen that the Special Administrative Board, which is the appointed governing board currently in charge of St. Louis Public Schools, they've seen that, they have a good working relationship with Dr. Adams, and they've stayed this long. I think just the sheer fact that the whole governance has, all the members, or most of the members, have stayed for almost a decade. So just seeing that stability and seeing that they're willing to stay, I think that has kind of given a lot of encouragement to St. Louis Public Schools members. And so since they see that it's working, I don't think anyone's really jumping the wagon.
No appetite at the state level,
yeah,
no eagerness to change.
Well, yeah, I can't speak for the state board, but that's just kind of the vibe I feel. But no one ever said that the governing board, the appointed board, will stay forever. It was never meant to be permanent, so it has to change back to the elected board sometime.
Did you think you'd be doing this for a decade?
Absolutely not.
Do you think, will you do it for another decade?
I'll do it as long as I think we're making progress. I think the key for this governing body, I think the key for any governing body in the future, is to put agendas aside, put personal feelings aside, and keep the students first and foremost. That's what this board committed to do, that no matter what, we'd put students first in our decision making, and I think that's what has guided this group of 3, and now there's a newer person who has the same commitment, who keep the students first.
Not only did you guys stay together, but your superintendent stuck around. You had, in the city, I believe we had something like 6 and 7 years, or 7 and 8 years. That's how many superintendents we had over that stretch of time. 6 and 7. Six different superintendents in 7 years. Why haven't you taken a better job, Dr. Adams?
I think this is the best job in America. I really do. I I have a board that's very supportive. I have a community that has been incredibly supportive, business partners, and this community has just said yes every single time I've asked. So I don't know that there is a reason to do something other than what we're doing right now. And so this board has given me a lot of cover to make mistakes, and to the public wouldn't know anything about the mistakes I've made because the board provides me cover to do the kinds of things and take the kind of chances and risks. So I think this is the best job in America.
I ask you that because when we talk to principals, they're surprised you're still here, and they're grateful you're still here. You're a modest guy. He's not going to take probably much public credit, I don't think, Mr. Sullivan. But I mean, I think people are curious what motivates you, what keeps you going on a job that a lot of people would maybe consider thankless.
I think you asked the question on what will it take for this to continue. I think stability is one piece of it. And from my perspective, I don't think we've achieved everything that we can. And so as long as there's still work to be done, I'm committed to getting the work done. And so I'm just committed to doing this work. We made a commitment 8.5 years ago, at least I did, and we discussed privately and a little bit publicly that we are going to commit to continue to do this work, and we'll tell each other when it's time for us to think about doing something different. But right now, we're all committed to doing this work.